So Stephen Walbolt in the house today. I'll let him tell you about his business, but he's got a cool little journey. We just got back from Vegas at a multifamily mastermind. And then lo and behold, we both joined the different mastermind that just came about in the last month. And I was asking a question about business. We hopped on a phone call the other day, and he gave me some insight that really helped me get past the hurdle that I'm currently got going on in business. So, Stephen, tell us about yourself, who you are, and what you do for a living.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on too. Again, my name's Steve Walbolt. We'll slow down when I say that. I own a company called MDG Flooring America. We're based out of Medina, Ohio, just south of Cleveland. Predominantly, our company does anything in the flooring industry. We specialize in residential remodel, custom home builders, and some Main Street commercial. And then I also have we just launched our kitchen and bath remodeling company too. So we're 2 months into that.
You also do some real estate as well, right?
Yeah. So my portfolio only consists of singles and duplex. I tried the apartment game. I know my role. I sucked at it. And now I'm just a passive lender when it comes to the multifamily deals. When it comes to operating them, no way.
Gotcha. Hey, man, there's different ways to plug in all day
Absolutely.
long. That's the cool thing about real estate. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty, man.
Let's do it.
I want to know how you got started owning floor companies. So get us at the beginning of it.
Yeah, so it's funny because I still to this day I don't know that much about flooring. And my cousin, my uncle, his father founded the company that I purchased. So I grew up right out of high school. I started in corporate America working for an auto parts company and didn't go to college, barely made it out of high school, had no clue what I wanted to do in my life. Well, this company kept giving me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. So I just kept basically working up the corporate ladder. I really got sick of it and just the politics that go with it, not being able to make decisions that are good for my team. You know, it wasn't about people, it was about a number. So in 2007, my uncle got in a bad car accident, basically left him brain damage. He's still with us today. He's in a home, but it left my aunt and my cousin Donnie, you met Donnie at these masterminds, to basically overnight be business owners. They had no clue what to do. And now on top of that, my uncle 07 gets in this car accident. He can't operate the company. And I love my uncle to death, but he was the company. You know, he was a guy that knew flooring all his life and want to work for himself, basically. So then, my cousin Donnie, he knows flooring inside and out, but didn't know the business aspect of it. Well, on my corporate journey, it was teaching me about process, procedure, structure, marketing, stuff like that, enough to be deadly. And well, then, you go back a little bit, 2007, that's when that happens. 2008, 2009, the recession hit. They're doing basically track home building accounts. All these accounts go under. Most companies would go under. They made it through that. It was them and it was my aunt, my cousin, and my other cousin, basically 3 people in this company trying to keep it alive. And then, they're making their way through. And in 2015, me and him just kept talking more and more about business. And I was really getting sick of, in corporate America, as our company grew and expanding, now just the personable part of it is gone. I started when we had a couple hundred stores. I quit when we had over 5,000. So it gets to the point where you can't even make a decision. You can't even give it a guy a 25-cent raise. It was pretty ridiculous, actually. But you expect to have people work for you nights, weekends, all the above. We're chatting. And I'm like, dude, I'm thinking about leaving and going doing something on my own. And he's like, would you be interested in buying the company with me? Because I don't know if we're going to be around much longer. So yeah, we started talking and here we are today. We bought the company in 2016. And quite frankly, it would have been easier opening a new company. That's how bad it was. But the brand was good.
Yeah.
The brand was good. That was the big thing. But the books were horrible. And I didn't know how to read books back then. I didn't know how to read a financial statement, a balance sheet. I knew nothing, how to look at receivables, payables, anything. So we basically bought a company that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that's not even making that in a year. So to get out of this hole was brutal, dude. It was brutal, but it taught us a lot. Not just about business, but about life too.
So tell me, how did you get past not understanding the books? Like, what did you do to fix that? Did you gather that knowledge? Did you find somebody with it? What did that look like?
No, I didn't know how to find somebody. I didn't even know what a mastermind was then. I didn't know how to find a mentor. I didn't know any of that. Literally, I'm a very budgetary person. So I just wrote a budget and put our debt in and how do we piecemeal like paying off debt. I know probably a lot of followers on here aren't probably a big fan of Dave Ramsey, but it's funny, like in 2008, 2009, to and from work, I'm listening to his CDs in my car. So I think there's levels to this stuff and levels to your financial literacy and how you grow. Yes, do I disagree with some of the stuff Dave Ramsey teaches? I do. But at the same time, he also got me on a track to teach me how to build a budget and be very disciplined how I spend money and pay bills on the personal side.
Yep.
So I took that and applied it to the business side. I didn't give a shit what our P&L looked like. I didn't give a shit what the balance sheet looked like. We just had to make it through and make sure we made payroll, paid our vendors to order material. I could care less how clean it looked. I just made a budget to where we wrote, basically didn't even realize we were writing KPIs on sales, on leads and stuff like that to basically pay our bills.
Yeah. So I love the simplicity of what you just said, because I do believe that a lot of people will get stuck in the complication of the lingo that's found in the industry and thinking, well, I need all of this and need all of this and that. And the reality of it is most people get started the exact way that you did. I know I did. When I first started, if I had the money in the bank, we could buy it. If I didn't have the money in the bank, we couldn't buy the additional tool. As soon as I did a big job and I saw I had enough to go buy some more equipment, then I would go buy the equipment, knowing that I had a little bit left over for me to survive on for the month. And most businesses, especially owner operators, that is how they increase. But there's another point that you made, and you was talking about corporate America. And I had experience with a corporate company called CarMax, is a Fortune 500 company. And that, I just heard you say it, and I say the same thing. I took some really good structure away from that. Although you didn't have that family feel and there is a lot of red tape, there is something to be said. Your journey happens for you. You know, life happens for you, not to you. And I think it's important that our listeners, our watchers, really remember whatever you're in right now, there is something to take away from that. Just like with Dave Ramsey, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, you know how many times I'll go to like a networking event or a meetup, and especially in the real estate space, and someone's like, oh, Dave Ramsey, this, and they don't even have their own house in order.
Yeah.
And it's like you're bashing a guy that you don't really even have your own house in order. It's because a guy that's already 10 steps ahead of you maybe disagrees with him, and you're trying to basically emulate that person, but you don't understand what the trenches, the things, the hurdles he's had to go through to get to where he's at. So I don't knock people like that. I think you can take something away from everybody. And that was part of my journey. And I owe a lot of success to where I'm at today, both personally and professionally, to Dave Ramsey. Listen to those CDs to and from.
All right. So move us down the timeline of, you jumped in right after the recession, and now you're just starting to throw a budget together, not really worried about what the terminology is behind that budget. You just know you've got money allocated in certain areas so that y'all can function correctly. Move us past that point now.
So yeah, obviously we got a good accountant to help us clean up with the tax returns, because tax returns were a mess. I have no clue how to do any of that. Don't even want to learn it. And then I guess my mentor at the time, and still is, was my financial advisor. And she's been phenomenal. And I was very brutally honest with those two. Like, I don't care how I look on paper. We got to be able to survive. So for months, I probably came into the company maybe too corporate America mindset and come in like guns drawn. But it also helped change the entire culture. There was no values. There was no mission. There was no vision. It was just kind of wake up and each person did their own thing. There was just no really direction. Well, I'm big on routine, structure, organization. So we put that in place. And again, some of it wasn't the best, but something done is better than perfect. And just have something. That's all we need to start with something, and basically minimize the blow. So at that point, now we have a structure of, we're not paying bills every day. We're not paying bills by the month. We make a budget and we pay bills every Monday, and we still do that to this day. We have a weekly budget. So back then, if our vendors, for example, I have 4 buckets. So, and I still do this with every business I own, especially my trade businesses. I have my operating expenses, which is like internet, rents, IT, just stuff that are on basically a monthly payment. I have my payroll, which is we pay out, our payroll company does every 2 weeks. I have my 1099s, which is my labor for installers, which a lot of our installers are on payroll. We'll probably get into that down the road. And then I have my vendors, which is material costs, right? So I allocate certain dollars amount. So I made, for example, the operating expenses. Okay, if it's $20,000 a month and there's 4.3 weeks in a month, whatever the math is, I'm not that smart. It's under like $5,000 a week, goes to that bucket. Back then, if our vendors were 20 grand, like we owed 20, but I only budgeted 10, I still only paid 10. We were past due on some, but we had to pay the ones that we needed material from.
Wow. Okay.
As I continued to budget, even though we were past due, and we did this for like an entire year, we just kept knocking little by little off, basically being very honest, not running away from these vendors, telling them, hey, we are past due. I got this coming to you next Monday, or I got this coming to you next, whatever. And earned a lot of respect because there's some other companies that were going under that were just leaving them high and dry.
Yeah. I've found in life that if you just come clean and don't hide out in the shadows, most people will work with you. The majority of people will say, hey, I understand. Thank you for coming clean and being honest. Even if you flip over into the sales side, if you were just real about it and genuine and stop trying to play these shell games, people respond so much better. I mean, being genuine goes so far.
I think you got that or you don't. We didn't do it just because someone taught us that. It was more like, okay, we need them more than they need us.
Yeah.
And rather than just keep ending the call when they're calling, it's like, hey, look, I know it's bad. We're going to fix it. And what's cool is today we have unlimited credit lines with 4 of our biggest vendors. Unlimited.
Wow. Is that one of the ones you were past due on?
I had one that we're past due like 120 grand on. I mean, and I'm talking 6 months past. They could have sent us to collections all day.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And I think that changed my mindset to truly appreciate what we have and not overspend when money comes in. I think a lot of business owners tend to, when that check comes, they're flashing the check and like bragging about it. And it's big in the wholesale space. Like, look at this wholesale deal. Like, dude, that's not all your money. It's not all your money. It's
you had marketing,
operating costs, marketing, and a lot of people follow that and they get caught up in it. And I don't know. I've never been that kind of flashy guy like that.